Hello, beautiful people. You are in for a big treat today. We have the one, the only, Sammy Ahood is in the building. How you doing today?
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
I'm here, Dean. It's a pleasure.
How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Great. It's a beautiful November in this incredible country.
Gorgeous. I wanted to congratulate you, first of all, on your lovely engagement to your lovely, beautiful fiancé, Yochevet.
Thank you so much.
How's it feeling? The electricity is still very strong.
It's a whirlwind, man. I only just got back from touring the States for the first time, really learning so much. And immediately I just couldn't wait. I just had to go straight in. We went up north, beautiful green scenery, simple, but also just so stunning and special. And I had to propose to her, man. I don't mess around. 4 months in, when you know, you know.
When you know, you know. Huge mazal tov to both you guys. You guys are beautiful. I wanted to ask you also, you're coming back from the States. You did a huge tour. You're talking at different organizations and different universities and different things. What was your takeaway from that whole experience? What was the main thing that you got from that?
There's a number of things because, as I said, this is my first time doing this. And I organized it pretty much all myself. I had a lot of help from individuals in the community because we really do come together more than we think we do. I mean, there's a million Jewish federations just in Florida alone. So there's a lot of separation, but also on an individual level, there's a lot of desire to help and get involved and to make things happen. And that's where I really found success. And one big learning point for me was not to rely on the organizations and to actually tap into the individuals, the motivated individuals that want to make an impact. And I think that's why I do the work I do in the first place, is because, let's be honest, the Jewish organizations have let us down on every scale possible, pretty much. And there's a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of red tape, and a lot of bureaucracy, and not much action. Not much. They talk about fighting and combating and defending against anti-Semitism. And I mean, everyone sees what's going on. Everyone understands the situation on university campuses, in the political sphere, everywhere. It's only on the rise. Something that I really learned is that people want to understand what they can do and what they need to do. But the resounding thing is that I was focused on before and still now after was comfort. We live these lives of luxury and abundance and freedom, but because we don't have the perspective really of other realities, we take it for granted. We're not so grateful in the West. We're not so grateful in the West for our luxurious and amazing free realities and societies. And we're letting them slip. We're inviting people in, and we're being tolerant to people who aren't tolerant of us. And that's not just the Jews, that's Westerners, because we've become, let's be honest, complacent because we're so comfortable. So the number one focus before was combating weakness and comfort. And from witnessing all the people that come to hear me speak, come to my self-defense sessions and comment on my work, the mood is comfort, but also a desire to really understand what they can do, because they see the world crumbling around them. They do. People do see it. People aren't oblivious, but it's almost a survival response. It's almost a fear response to kind of bury your head in the sand further, or move from New York to Florida and act like nothing's going on. You know.
What do you think though? We have the kind of stereotype of the meek and the kind of little cowardly like Jew that's like kind of a little squeamish and a little avuncular. How do we show the world the real Jewish warrior, and are we ready to show our strength amid the criticism and amid all the negative feedback? Are we able to say, this is who we are, we're here, we're not going anywhere, this is our country, this is our state, and like it or not, this is what we are. This is who we are.
Yeah. There's a reason that's the image we have of ourselves, and that's the image that most people who aren't Jewish have of us, because that's the image we portray. Like in Hollywood, the only Jew we see is the Jerry Seinfeld comedian or the sleazy lawyer. And then you've got the Haredim, which are basically the only visible Jews, like the ultra-religious. So that's the only image that there is, unless you've seen Inglourious Bastards or movies like Defiance or etc., etc. You don't really have another image of a Jew, unless you've met one yourself. Most people haven't. So it's on us to set a good example of a strong, proud Jew. But you don't have much of that. And I think that does go back to comfort. I think it goes back to complacency, the desperation to be accepted and to assimilate. And that's resulted in this. So how do we go about that? I think people see my work, and a lot of people are inspired by my work, and it really motivates me to continue. But a lot of people see my work and think, oh, he's inciting violence. Like he's moving towards violence or provocation or antagonizing. If my existence as a proud, strong Jew is antagonizing, that's the problem. The problem is that we've come to that place, that my existence as a strong and proud Jew is a provoking one. So we have to understand that by assimilating or tikkun olam, trying to accept those who aren't accepting of us, trying to have these interfaith relations which don't do anything, don't gain us respect. Israel understands that perfectly. I've learned a lot since I made Aliyah, and before that, since I was visiting for the last 3 or 4 years. I only moved to Israel last year, but before then, I really came to a lot of realizations. One of them being why my organization is called Peace Through Strength, because you don't get peace. Israel does not get peace by flying to Haiti and helping with their earthquake without being asked, sending a delegation to search through the rubble for survivors. Doing the same in Turkey, a sworn enemy. They don't get peace from that. Israel gets peace because they hit back 10 times as hard as they get hit every time. And that's peace through strength. And that used to be the motto of the United States. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Golda Meir, the first female prime minister anywhere, would say, you can't negotiate with somebody who's come to kill you. And now all of a sudden, in the last 10, 15 years, we're inviting those into our societies who openly say they want to kill us. And we're empowering the weak and the resentful people in our society. And that's not virtuous. You have to be strong and courageous and bold and brave before you can be kind.
It goes back to, I guess, the metaphor of, I mean, one would assume, like, let's say if we kind of compare it to Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X, kind of how do we deal with these kind of problems? Is like, do we take we are the IDF, right? Israeli Defense Force, because we're defending an existential threat always, because the enemy, they're sworn to eradicate us from the earth, and it's very public in their charters. How can we, through soft power and through education also, or is it a combination of both? Because I mean, I feel like there's a place for the soft power and the kind of education, because a lot of people just aren't aware. But there's also and there's a lot of fake propaganda that's being spread. And there's also a place for, standing up for yourself. And we've seen that in a lot of your stuff, that you are that strong Jewish man that's not afraid to go out on the streets of London and literally get attacked by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys at a time. And, like, most people aren't going to do that, right? They're not brave enough to do that. No, nor should they be. Why should they fight, a minion of guys, It's, how do you find that kind of courage? And how are you able to, inspire others and eventually work towards a solution where they're not being targeted like that, and they don't need to fight for their survival? What do you think about that?
I want to talk about courage first of all.
Yeah.
I just want to start where you left off.
Okay.
Because without courage, you don't have anything in your life. Aristotle would say courage is the ultimate virtue. Without courage, you can't ask your girlfriend or boyfriend about something that's been upsetting you, or fiance. You can't ask your boss for a pay rise. You can't stand up for your morals or your values or what you believe in anywhere, in any field, let alone defend yourself or your family physically. It takes courage to do all of those things. It takes courage to do the right thing, not knowing what's going to happen to you, right? So courage is essential, but people see in my content, or they see a guy running into a burning building, whatever, not to compare them, but just to think about the courage, which is unfathomable to a lot of people. And they think, wow, oh my God, that guy's fearless. That's not the truth. To say that they're fearless is a lack of understanding. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is using fear to your advantage. Fear is like a natural response, right? It's a survival response. And you get that when you approach the girl on the street, or you're confronted with people who openly say they want to kill you, and you stand there not afraid. Yeah, there's many examples. But you get like an adrenaline response, and your body goes into overdrive. But how did I create this courage for myself? And this was by no means natural. I was not a very self-confident teenager, quite honestly. How? Because I prepared, because I trained myself, learned self-defense, went to the gym, pushed myself, and not never, because I'm not perfect, but always strived to ask myself the difficult questions rather than saying, oh, why is this happening to me? And I think the Jewish community have become weak because they say, oh, anti-Semitism. Oh, why do people hate us? If only we can explain ourselves a bit better, then people will hate us less. I think the way we combat it, like you said, we need the education. We need to combat the ignorance. But that's all we're doing. It can't come as a replacement for the formidability, the strength, the courage, the bravery, and the pride. You can explain how Israel deserves to exist, and obviously it does if you're somewhat educated. And you can explain how Islamists are murderous to anyone who's not a Muslim, which is literally what they tell you if you listen to them. So it doesn't take a genius or an intellectual to get to these conclusions. But we're just so desperate, so focused on the explanation. And our only form of fighting is the litigation, which is almost like the royalty class level of fighting. We feel like because we've become so comfortable and wealthy and successful in society, we've evolved past the uncomfortable.
Some of these institutions that were founded on freedom and liberty and democracy as a whole have been taken hostage in many ways by a lot of these Islamic communities that have individuals that come as refugees but are in reality coming to more so take jobs and kind of in a lot of ways take from the welfare system, and the places that they escape from, they're taking that philosophy and the Sharia to the new places which have historically never submitted to those practices before. Now, a very obvious example is the UK now, which is experiencing a radical shift in leadership, in demographic, in the what kind of content or what kind of message is allowed in public discourse. And we've seen so many times those that stood up against it, even through social media or posting, have been penalized heavily and have been basically removed from platforms just for voicing their opinion.
Arrested and imprisoned. Yeah. You're missing out.
Arrested.
That's why I don't go back.
I see. But do you think that there is any chance at a course correction, at a reversal, at something that could still save the UK for real British citizens with Western values and ideology? Or are they too far gone and now it's just a matter of time until it becomes a caliphate state?
My life has been a constant battle, or my adult life, and since I've started this work, has been a constant battle of optimism and realism. Mm-hmm. Realism usually wins, if you're someone like me. So the chances are extremely slim. But the best way to predict the future is to create it. I think that was Abraham Lincoln. And he was a pretty great leader who shaped the future of the cornerstone of freedom in the world. Mm-hmm. And Britain has a lot of heritage and a lot of pride, but they've been suppressed for a very long time, to the point where this Unite the Kingdom movement, it's become an act of defiance to raise the UK flag in the UK. Like, how far could you possibly have gone down this dark path? And I don't want to start naming statistics, to start rattling off statistics to you about the UK, but it's not a good sign. Like, the UK has lost the most millionaires in the last couple of years than any other country, I think, other than China. And that's just one. I don't want to start talking about the Islamists, but just by numbers, they're outbreeding us. By even without them being there, British people are not having enough children to reproduce and to sustain their society. But that's not even the most urgent thing. The most urgent thing is that Brits are not standing up for British Judeo-Christian values. And that requires courage and bravery and pride. But like the Jewish diaspora, British society has become comfortable and complacent, and they feel like they can explain their way or educate their way out of things. You can't educate your way out of a war. We're at war. Not just the Jewish diaspora. America's at war. Britain's at war. Europe's at war. America has the best chance of winning this war. We've only just figured out we're at war. The Islamists and the communists have known we're at war for at least the last 2 decades. We've been asleep with our head buried firmly in the sand. So the only way we start to fight this, and it is a fight, let's start using uncomfortable language, because we've got to start being uncomfortable being uncomfortable, because that's most of my work. That's how I built this courage that you talk about. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. When that adrenaline response comes up, you got to be like fight or flight. The only valid response is to a threat. If you're in a dark alley, or you're on a wider scale, you're a Jew in the diaspora, the only valid response is I'm going to stand up for my society, or I'm going to leave or go to Israel.
So you're saying that the enemy mostly is the complacency, just not doing anything and letting things happen because of political correctness, or because of, you want to be a good person, and these poor refugees, let them in, and they continue to.
I'm going to further define it. Yeah. Because to fight a war, you have to be able to define and identify the enemy in the first place, let alone to start being able to fight it effectively in any meaningful manner. And we can't do that. We say, Islamism, wokeism, this, that. We've got 10 enemies and no one knows how to fight any of them effectively, rather than just shouting at them. And that's not effective. That might look like what I've done at some occasions, but with those videos, I've tried to demonstrate certain things, which I think I have done pretty effectively. Demonstrate courage, demonstrate the necessity for pride and bravery in the face of a murderous enemy, and to demonstrate that, look who's controlling the streets. It took 1 minute for me, in the most liberal part of London, one of the most liberal and accepting and tolerant parts of London, to be attacked by a mob of Islamists. That's not tolerance and acceptance and kindness. That's a society that's been overrun. So I try to demonstrate a lot of things. But before all of that, before confronting the enemy, we have to talk about ourselves. And I think the problem with the Jewish diaspora is the same as the problem with the wider Western world, is we're obsessed with the outer and terrified of the difficult work, in my opinion, and the uncomfortable work, which is introspection. Standing in the mirror and saying, am I courageous? Am I bold? Am I proud? Am I standing up for myself or my values or my children's future? And we're not doing that. So to really identify what I think the enemy is, on all sides, it's weakness. Because of the comfort and the luxury and the abundance and the freedom that we built ourselves, we don't have the perspective. We certainly don't have the gratitude. We've moved away from faith, and faith is all centered around gratitude. And faith is centered around there's something bigger than myself. And you look at Miami, you look at all these big cities, there's nothing bigger than yourself. So people have become
individualistic.
Poor excuses for human beings with no purpose, no gratitude, and no direction. People were just floating around in space. So how can we be expected to fight anything before we fight our inner selves? And we're fighting all our thoughts, because unless you keep it in check, your mind's not your friend. You have to ask yourself difficult questions in order to make yourself strong and to know what you're standing up for in the first place, if you want to start defending your morals and your society. So the enemy, if we have to define it, is weakness. And that comes from the comfort and the complacency, as you said.
Well, you talked about America, and you think it's like the last stand, correct? But we see a very strong wave, especially now with the election of Mamdani in New York, of a lot of these woke communist, socialist, Marxist, Islamist, pro-terrorism, anarchy ideology, where you have a candidate that's running the economic world center of the world, New York City, who obviously, is anti-Israel, anti-capitalism, anti-thing, and he's an activist. And you also said that you went through Dearborn, Michigan, so you saw some of the things that were going on over there. How do you think that we're on a slippery slope in the U.S. to go to the level of the UK, and to go to the level of France, and to go to the level of Europe, where we have...
Absolutely.
Okay, so how can we stop this wave now? And how can, first of all, obviously there's that kind of connection of the Islamism married to a very unlikely partner, which is the wokeism and the Marxism. First of all, how do you justify that kind of marriage of convenience?
The Red-Green Alliance. The marriage of convenience. I love that.
Yeah.
I spoke about the weakness on our side. If we're weak as individuals, how can we possibly know how or what we're standing up for? How to stand up, how to be brave, how to be courageous, or why if we're weak as individuals. So that's the first problem. We have to focus on ourselves. And it's the most uncomfortable. The other problem is also weakness. The enemy has the same problem. The reason the enemy exists... The reason Islamists who openly state they want to destroy our societies are in our societies in the first place is because we got weak and complacent enough to invite them there. Period. You don't have Christians flooding into Saudi Arabia telling it's absurd. So we've become complacent and comfortable and weak enough to invite the people who want to kill us in. So that's just one of the problems, Islamists. And then you've got the woke. The woke exist because of weakness. You've got the dejection, demoralization, the resentment, the jealousy. These people hate power. They view the whole world as a power structure. So anyone who's more wealthy than them, more successful than them, they hate meritocracy because they're dejected and demoralized about their own identity and their own ability and their own standing. So the whole problem on both sides is weakness. In America, you mentioned Dearborn, Michigan. I drove through Dearborn, Michigan, and it looks more like Lebanon than America. I'm not kidding. It looks more like Lebanon, other than, and this is the most ridiculous thing, and it's like almost sickening, it's so ridiculous, is that there's gay clubs in Dearborn, Michigan, like dotted around, like opposite an Afghani shop with a massive Islamist flag on the front, like a big flag flying in the wind, off the same long. There's a massive LGBTQ flag.
Not for long,
on top
probably.
of it's just like how weak, complacent, and stupid could you be? So let's talk about America. Like I said, people moving from New York to Florida just to continue burying their heads in the sand. Just because it's not on your doorstep or bashing your front window in doesn't mean it's not happening right now. Just because you can turn the news off, I'm gonna look into the camera for this. Just because you can turn your TV off and sigh and get on with dinner doesn't mean it's not happening right now, and it doesn't mean it's not going to affect you. I'm 60. By the time it happens in my area, I'll be long gone. We all have a responsibility to combat this, and it starts by combating our comfortability. So in America, we have to acknowledge the fact that just because we have guns, just because we have liberty and different states and different laws, it's not enough. You've seen, like I said, the explanation, the intellectual, the political route. We've tried it with discourse. You can't negotiate with someone who's come to kill you. You can't talk your way out of a war. That said, that's an important factor, but it can't come without the courage, the bravery, and all of that. So what America has to do, they haven't lost their pride in their patriotism the same way Britain has lost it and the same way Europe has lost it. Maybe in New York, you might get frowned at for carrying an American flag, but most of the states, people carry their American flags and they wear them with pride. So they need to be loudly and proudly American and stand up for their values and what that means. And that might be different for certain people, but it isn't the tearing down of society. And they need to be, it takes a strong moral compass and standing up for that. Courage starts around the dinner table. Like people self-censor. That's where it starts. Tyranny starts by the people. It doesn't start in policy. It starts in culture, which is why I don't talk about any political candidate or party. This is not a political problem. Before it's political, it's cultural. And that culture is shaped by weakness and comfort and complacency.
When we talk about those things, we have also, I mean, you're talking about basically men of honor, men of integrity, men of courage. That there's that saying, right? Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. Hard times make strong men, right? Like it's a cycle. It's all cyclical. How can we live by, it's a very, today maybe viewed as a concept that's, that's in the past, or, men and women, there's no difference. We're all the same. You have a young man, right? He's living in one of these Western countries. He is devoid of purpose, right? He doesn't have, they say make money and, find a, nice partner and live to your best level as you can. But what do young men, what would you tell them in order to get to that place of living with purpose, living with some kind of integrity, some kind of values that can improve their life? And how can they get there, with, utilizing personal strength, right? How can they get to those places where they can, like live in a place where they find an incredible woman to marry, and they're able to be so brave and proud and strong of who they are? And that's a thing that's very lacking also in dating and in all those things. It's very known that there's a lot of men that don't have that kind of drive to succeed, and how can they get that?
I think because the word I keep coming back to is comfort. I think because we're comfortable, we become people that settle. They just settle for okay. Like the amount of people I know that have been in a relationship for 8 years, they moved in with their partner 4 years ago. They've got very little drive to get engaged or to get married or to have kids. It's just like, it's okay. It's all right. I quite enjoy it. Like the sex is good. like that's it. It's like we become settlers because all of our focus in our society is around comfort. My mission is to get people on their own journey of self-empowerment, which means get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that means break up with the just or all right partner. Start believing, even if you might have no evidence, and I'm no religious preacher, clearly, but start believing there is a power or something bigger than yourself. Doesn't have to even be religious. Start to think with a we mindset and not I. What can you do for other people or your society or your community? And that's, I think, more essential for men than for women. You look at Judaism, and men have much more responsibility than women. And that's not because of the oppression structure between men and women, as the woke would like to tell you, because everything's about power. No, it's about men. I think what I've realized, because I've gone on a real journey myself in the last half a year, spiritually, men need more than women to be sure that they are not the biggest thing going on. I think it's extremely dangerous for a man to think that they are the biggest thing going on, because then ego gets involved, and a man with ego is not something you want. And that's why I think martial arts is so special, because it has to be left at the door. Ego must be left at the door. And you teach, I was in Palm Beach teaching jiu-jitsu guys, these absolute like ninja level jiu-jitsu guys, teaching them self-defense. And self-defense is different to martial arts, because one's for the streets and one's for a controlled environment. But these guys, these absolute solid guys, these massive guys, and they're super well trained. They leave their ego at the door, and every time they roll, like imagine a black belt sparring with a blue belt. Imagine how humbling it is for that black belt to get submitted by the blue belt, and then going again, and then going again. And then these people have got to be humbled 100 times a training session. We've been given the false reality. Our reality has been subverted into believing that the strong people are the dangerous people. The powerful people are the dangerous people. We must rip them down off their high horses. No, the strong people are the ones that hold open the door. The tough men are the ones that protect our values and stand up for our morals. The weak men are the jealous, the resentful, the demoralized, and the purposeless individuals that want to tear down the people who've done better than them. The most dangerous people in society are the weakest people in society. From the high school bully to the Adolf Hitler. They're all of those character traits. They're envious. All of those character traits which I've described. So I think for men and for women to start, go stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself difficult questions that you've been avoiding. Am I getting up when I should be getting up? Should I be stop using my phone the moment I wake up or right before I fall asleep? Am I doing things that I don't want to do or that make me uncomfortable? Because that's purpose. In itself is purpose. The growth myself and my partner, my fiance, have been discussing, like, what's the most important thing in a relationship? And we from the start, we were discussing this, of course. And that's growth mindset. And then I've been thinking about that more and more. And growth mindset is so essential, not just for a relationship, but for your relationship with yourself. If you fail and you choose to be the victim of that failure, it's not worth it, I'm an idiot, yeah? Then your relationship with yourself, your self-esteem is just going to plummet. You're going to hate yourself. If you fail and you say, okay, this is what I learned, this is what I can do differently, I can consult this person for advice, fail 100 times, 101, that's when you succeed. The growth mindset is the most essential thing in nature. And I studied biology many years ago now. I'm not that old, but I studied biology, and you look around you, other than like man-made concrete and things like that, everything is growing. Everything is competing. So all of these ideologies which are trying to bring down the thing that has done better than you, it literally goes against nature. Like you see the trees in the forest and the bushes beneath, they're all competing for the sunlight and competing for nutrients. The growth mindset is the most essential thing to continue existing positively. So to really narrow down, like to make it actionable, ask yourself difficult questions, make yourself comfortable being uncomfortable, and just realize that you're not the biggest thing going on.
It's beautiful advice. I want to ask, when you are down, when you do feel like the whole world is against you and you've been smacked and, 7 Islamists have beat the shit out of you on the street, or tried to, not really.
Correction.
What do you want to hear? What do you need to hear? Whether it's you got rejected from a job that you want, or you feel like really everything's against you. What do you need to hear or believe to like get back up again, start fighting again, not give up, not surrender? What do you need to hear or to think or to believe in that moment?
I love that question. There's no strong mind without a strong body. Not at all. I think the best way to learn to trust yourself, to trust what you tell yourself, to trust what you tell or what you say that you're going to do, but you keep falling short of, like work-wise or study-wise, whatever that is to test the physical first. So what does that mean? Instead of going for a 5-mile run and falling short at 4 miles and walking the rest, and then feeling crap about it because I didn't make it to the 5 miles, run 3, but run faster and get that feeling of completion. Do the difficult thing. There's a part of your brain that literally grows when you do something you don't want to do and you complete it. So instead of being upset and dejected because you lost the job opportunity, or you just couldn't focus and finish that assignment on time, or whatever it is, or you let that girl go, learn from it, test yourself physically. Go and do something that is testing and complete it. It's essential that you complete it. It might not be the most difficult thing. You can do it harder the next time. But make it challenging and complete it. You get that feeling of completion, and I can do hard things, and that translates into everything in your life. So if I get terrible news or whatever, life is not about what happens to you. It's about how you choose to respond. And you can't control what happens to you. You can't control the weather, but you still have to go for that hike or whatever. You still have to do that thing, despite all the variables that surround you. The only controllable variable is your reaction to it. So you can choose to learn from it. You can choose to grow from it. or you can choose to be the victim. And today, more than ever, we have people that are obsessed with being the victim. And that's because we give children participation medals at school and expect them to grow up into adults that understand that failure is essential. No, of course not. We are, and it's from external ideology and the fact that we are at war and we've not realized it, that these fake virtues have been infiltrating our societies and spurring us on to create dysfunctional adults so that we have no ability to fight this war, because it's a war. So we have to fight the war internally as individuals to make ourselves tougher, not tougher like Arnold Schwarzenegger tougher mentally resilient. And for me, that has to start with the physical.
Beautiful answer. I heard from a little birdie told me that you were working on a new project, and I wanted to give a Dean Paz Podcast exclusive as to what that project was, and please share with the audience.
Thank you, Dean. I just got back from my 8-week tour in America, and wow, that was a lot of failure and lots of near misses and lots of learning opportunities, because I chose to view them as learning opportunities. And also lots of uncertainty. Like, I don't know where I'm taking this. I haven't earned a salary in the last 2 years. I had a successful career in construction, but my ability to have faith in what I'm doing and why I'm doing it for pure purposes has allowed me to just to breathe and say, like, I can work on this as long as I know I'm doing it for the right reasons and doing the right thing. And eventually I'll come to what I need to do. And that's been the case the whole way. And I kind of came to the end of the American tour, and I haven't been successful in raising money because I don't have like this business model. I don't have this plan. I don't have this, and that's okay. And that's been daunting. It's been really daunting. Like, do I create a non-profit? Do I create a for-profit? Do I do this? Do I build this global organization? The answer is I don't know yet. I don't know what it looks like. I know it has to happen. I don't know what it looks like. I'm going to be creating products first. I've created the content, I've done, and I'm continuing on my mission with inspiring and empowering people and helping people empower themselves. Now I'm coming out with a book, and it'll be like a handbook for mindset, essentially. I talk about it all the time. I create videos. I speak publicly. I teach self-defense, but I'm not an expert intellectual. I'm not an expert ninja self-defense instructor.
That's debatable.
Depends who you ask. If you ask those guys in Camden Town, they weren't so happy. Let's just put it that way. But I'm writing a book based on my experiences in life and what I see works best and how I feel society struggles at the moment. And as I said, I think that comes from a place of lack of perspective, lack of gratitude, lack of courage, and focus on the comfortability of our lives. If we stop focusing on the comfortability and realize that you can't appreciate the sunny days without the rain. You can't appreciate your $2,000 couch without running up the stairs every so often. We have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm writing a little handbook and creating a masterclass. Nothing intellectually complex, nothing scientific, nothing that requires someone with a degree to understand, hopefully. I know I have a British accent, so it might sound like it's going to be super complex, but guys, I promise, it's really exciting. I started yesterday, and it's an honor to announce it on this platform. Dean,
let's go.
So, thank you.
Let's go. Batzlacha, as they say, and maybe a bestseller, and break all the records.
Thank you, man.
But more importantly, may you really get your message out and what you're planning to tell the world in a succinct way, and it's beautiful. All right, let's go for one silly question and one more deep question to wrap us up here.
Start with the deep one. Let's end on the silly one.
Amazing. Okay, best piece of advice that you've ever received in your life, and who was it from, and what was it?
That's really tough.
I told you we don't pull punches on this podcast. We give you the hard questions, the hard-hitting questions.
You know what? I'm going to go for something simple but effective. First thing that comes to mind. I can't even remember who it was. One of my kickboxing martial arts instructors, and they are very wise people. They're not just fighters. They're very wise and measured people. Said to me once, step into the fire because the fire is not as hot as it seems. Right? And if you've seen my content, you've known that I have taken his advice. But when you're boxing or you're kickboxing and you're sparring, even if it's a full-on fight or it's just a play fight and you're just training, if you are flinching when someone's punching and you're not quite certain to go in or when to go in and your timing, you're going to be on the outside and you're going to allow them to pressure you and you're not going to be able to respond. You're not going to be able to protect yourself, which is counterintuitive because you're staying on the outside, right? If you step into the fire, they can't deliver that punch because you're inside. And then you're all of a sudden in a position which is not only better to protect yourself, but better to fight back. So it's all about confronting fear, confronting discomfort, asking yourself that it's like standing in the mirror and saying, just like really asking what is making me fearful, what's making me uncomfortable, and really going after it rather than dancing around it. That's the best advice I can think of right now because it's so essential and it really it applies to all of life. Step into the uncomfortable, the burning discomfort. I used to, and like I said, this courage is not natural. Courage is not the absence of fear. When I was a kid, I would flinch every single time a boxing glove was swung in my direction. And you see like Karate Kid where they do this thing in the bowl of water and they get the splashes of water to train their face and their eyes not to flinch every time. Train the discomfort. Train your response to discomfort voluntarily. Go through the voluntary discomfort so that when discomfort is put on you, choose to step into fire. Yeah? So when fire is put on you, you're used to it already.
That was a fire answer. Okay, now for the silly question. Are you fighting one Mike Tyson or 20 Islamists in the ring? What do you choose?
One Mike Tyson.
Wow.
Wanna know why? Because I got a bit of jiu-jitsu and I got kickboxing.
Okay. He's getting pretty old now too. But in his prime.
Have you seen the way he moves? He's in his late 50s, this guy.
Yeah.
He moves like an animal still.
Yeah, he's a shark. But I'm saying Mike Tyson in his prime or 20 Islamist? In his prime. Not 60-year-old Mike Tyson.
Depends on the rules. No rules? Cage. No rules.
Boxing match with rules.
Oh, come on, man.
Boxing.
Oh, 20 Islamists. Are you kidding me? I might not wake up after Mike Tyson. These little Islamists, they attack like Kalbin, little dogs. They attack like dogs, and I'm gonna end on a serious note from a silly question. It doesn't take courage to attack me or to attack someone as a group of 7 or 10. It doesn't take courage. They attacked me from behind initially as well. I only turned around because someone shouted before they attacked me. They attack like dogs because they're all too cowardly, like hyenas. They're all too cowardly. Yeah, and I've been reading Ben Shapiro's new book, Lions and Scavengers. It's so interesting. It talks about how people get demoralized and want to rip down society, the scavengers, and the lions, which protect the pride and the values and the morals of society and the meritocracy. They fight for what they have. They're hyenas, these people. I'm a lion. I can fight off 20 hyenas.
Let's go. Sammy Ahood! Pleasure having you on. You're a true gentleman in the real sense of the word. And I appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Peace through strength. Let's go.